we are gonna be, oh, before I do that, let me drop this into the chat. I don't know if you guys have been getting these all the time, but this is actually the participant guide for today's class. So I think it's an important one because we have like a buyer lead sheet in there and stuff like that. So you can save that to your desktop and then let me know if you have any questions. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it says Ignite session 13. Yes.
Perfect. All right, let's jump right in. Oh, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No.
All right. So
Thank
today
you.
we are on session 13, qualifying potential buyers and sellers. This is where we're at in the whole course overview. And this is today's agenda. We're going to find the motivated, classify by able, ready, and willing, qualifying buyers and sellers. We're going to recap, share some ahas, and then obviously review our daily success system. So the objectives for today are identifying where and how to lead generate for buyers and sellers, how to classify them, and we're going to go over that in detail. Your number one job as a real estate agent is to find ways to get in the path of motivated buyers and sellers. Congratulations, the lead generation and follow-up habits you have started are the first step to fulfilling what Gary Keller says is our number one job. So if you're ever in a rut or you're ever in a place in your business, like what should I be doing? I don't have anyone that I'm looking for houses with. I don't have any listings. What should I be doing? This is your answer. So you need to get in front of people who are motivated to buy and sell. That's your number one job. Now that can look a million different ways because your way might not be the same as my way, but that is your number one job as an agent. Let's see. The second half of this quote contains a very important word, motivated. So a lot of people talk to me about real estate. When I go to parties, when I go to family events, everyone wants to talk about real estate. Everyone wants to know, you know, what my thoughts are on the market or how this is going, how that is going. Those are great. Those are great conversations to have. I get happy about those because it reminds me that when people see me, they think of real estate. So I'm hoping that when they are motivated and they are ready and they are willing, that they'll still reach out to me, right? But those conversations are, you know, neither here nor there. They could go somewhere, they could not go somewhere. Your job is to get in front of motivated people who are ready. So how do we find the motivated? When we are new to something, it can be easy to get caught up in the misunderstandings that block success. What's a misunderstanding? Let's just read this question here, and I'd like for you to share with me something that might come up as a myth about finding buyers and sellers. So if I had to ask you, where's your next listing coming from? What blocks you from knowing where to go and how to find them? Hi, Farm. Do you have anything that you'd like to share, Reza?
Yeah, I just haven't, reached out to all my contacts. So I
Okay.
feel like it just started a few weeks ago, actually being in it. And I just have to go out there and talk to them.
Very good.
Yeah.
The truth is that lead generation for buyers and sellers does not have to cost money, exactly what you said. You can lead generate through your spheres, through referrals, and through prospecting.
Right.
Let's see here. So this is a really important slide. It's probably the most eye-opening slide in this entire series for me, because if we just look at it for a little bit, what does it tell us? Really, it tells us that, hang on, we have a chat. The audio is kind of choppy. Is it still choppy? I'm in the office. Let me know if that happens again. Okay, so what does this slide tell us? Tells us that we should be talking to people exactly like Reza said. All buyers use the agent that they were referred to from a family, friend, or neighbor. Are there other ways that they found someone? Yes. Are those numbers super low? Also, yes. Let's look at sellers. What did I do? I went past it. Sellers, same numbers. Well, different numbers, but same results. So referral. Ask for referrals. After you've talked to someone, after you've helped sell a home, after anything, always ask, who do you know that's interested in buying or selling real estate? Let's talk about Command. Reza, have you opened up Command yet?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I haven't, I mean, I have all my contacts in there, but I haven't done anything with it.
Okay, perfect. So Command was built specifically for Keller Williams and for Keller Williams agents. Opportunities is a word in Command that we use to define your sales pipeline of business. It tracks all your potential deals or transactions as they move through your sales pipeline. See here. Let's see, you can see on your screen when you open up Command Opportunities, it will track your clients from the cultivate stage all the way to the closing and getting paid. Any questions on that? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Classifying by able, ready, and willing. You have probably heard the phrase ready, willing, and able, or ready, able, and willing in many contexts. In real estate, we think about this order a little bit differently. We say able, ready, and willing when we are classifying our potential buyers and sellers. Why do you think we start with able? Does anybody want to chime in on that? Like, why would we want to start with the able? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's because we need to know who can buy, who can sell. And you're probably thinking in your head, well, can't everybody sell? Well, yeah, everyone can sell their house, but without knowing why they need to sell, and if it's a good option for them, you know what I mean? If their goal is to buy, 20 acres and selling their home would get them into purchasing the land, but now they have nowhere to, house their family. How is that a win for them unless that's what they want? So finding the able is very important. And we do that by asking them questions. Let's see. A potential buyer might need time to save money for a down payment. A seller might not be able to sell because they do not have the full rights to the property. So there's lots of different reasons why someone might not be able to sell or buy. It's very important to identify that in the very beginning. Focus becomes increasingly possible in direct proportion to how clear you are about what you want, when you want it, and what you must do to get it. This quote doesn't just apply to us as agents, it applies to everyone. When buyers and sellers know what they want, when they want it, and what they need to do to get it done, then our role as agents is clear. Help them find the property they desire and close the transaction. When we are determining the able, ready, and willingness of a potential client, we emphasize come from curiosity. Why do you think we stress this? The question again is come from curiosity. Why do you think that it's important to stress this one in our conversations? Anyone want to share? Well, I'm just going to tell you how I look at it. When we come from curiosity, it's more to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and it puts us in a position to really know how we can help our clients. If you don't come from curiosity, sometimes it can seem salesy. It can seem like you're only after the dollar bill. And to be honest with you guys, people can see it, people can feel it, and they tend to shy away from that. If they know that you're there for their best interest, then they're going to be more willing to trust you and more willing to work with you now or in the future. So able potential clients is financially and legally capable of completing a transaction now. Ready, potential client that is motivated and prepared to make strategic decisions now. Willing, potential client is eager to buy, sell, or both. So let's break it down how I understand it. Able means that they can buy or sell and it's in their best interest or it will work out for them, right? Ready. Some people are able, it's a good decision for them financially to sell so that they could buy this property that they've always wanted, but they're not ready. They don't want to move. Moving is stressful, moving is hard. And, it's a big deal. So they might not be ready to move. Willing. Let's talk about willing. Are they willing to? Are they willing to go through all of this stuff? It's really important to find someone who is all three. All right, so how would you classify these buyers? So take a picture with your cell phone if you want to remember this. I can always send you the slides or send you the specific slide. I was just asked to do this by my mentor. So I'm going to have to sit down with everyone that's in my pipeline and get an idea of where I actually sit. I don't know if any of you attended the team meeting today, but it was an eye-opener. Anything you do today is what, 45 days out? You will see rewards in 45 days. So if you don't have anyone sitting in that A category, that's what I would want to change. I would want to change getting more people into that A category, right? Because that means that they're doing business in the next 0 to 14 days, which means you should already have them set up on an MLS search, which means you should already be taking them to look at houses. They should already be pre-qualified, all the things, right? And then your B people are anyone that's able, ready, and willing to do business in 15 to 60 days. Do we love on them any less? Maybe a little bit, because anybody in your A category, you're going to need to be talking to twice a week at a minimum. Anybody in that B category, you can probably do once a month, depending on who they are, right? Anybody in your C category is 61 days plus. That means in a year, they're probably going to want to buy a home. Okay, any questions? Any thoughts? Anything you want to share? Okay, let's talk about qualifying them. Why do we qualify? Well, a lot of reasons. Let me look at my notes really fast to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm going to put it to you in an easy way to understand, or why it's so important. Let's say I'm working with a buyer. And I've had buyers do this. Oh, well, I would really just rather go look at this house really fast. I know I'm not pre-qualified, but I just really want to see it. And then let's say you take them to see the property and they love it. And they're like, we want to write an offer. Guess what? You probably could write an offer, but that offer is not going to go anywhere. Unless you have a pre-qual letter, that listing agent is probably not even going to entertain it. He's going to ask you, where's your pre-qualification? Can this client even qualify for this loan? So why do we qualify? Because if we're showing people houses without a pre-qual letter, we can't do anything with it. Obviously, reason number 2 is because if you're working with a buyer and they want to go see this house because it has a pool and it's near their kid's school and it's listed for $400,000. They love it. I tell them, great, you love it. Let's get you into with a lender and let's get you pre-qualified. Let's say that process takes a week. Now the house is off the market. So they probably lost out on that deal because they weren't already pre-qualified. Another reason, let's say the house was listed for 400. Let's say they get pre-qualified and they're only pre-qualified for 300. Now what? They're let down, right? There's a lot of reasons why we want to pre-qualify them before going to look for a house or anything like that. Any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, Edith, I don't think you were in the chat when I dropped this in there, so I'm gonna drop it in there again for you. If you would like it emailed or anything like that, let me know. Why isn't it doing it?
Oh, I would like to, did you say to email it? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sorry, hang on a second. I'm gonna drop the participant guide in here. It's not letting me do it. Okay. If you want it emailed, let me know and I will send it to you. But in the participant guide, you will have this buyer lead sheet.
Okay,
Buyer lead sheet, it's basically every single thing you need to ask a buyer when you're meeting them. Okay?
I resent it. Did that come through all of us?
Did you get it, Reza?
See.
It's in the chat.
Okay, let's see. Oh.
Here, I'm gonna send it again in the chat. Reza, what's your email?
My email?
Yeah.
It's reza@realestatebyReza.com. I mean, I downloaded it. I'll text Reza.
Edith,
Yeah.
what's your email address?
you can send it to E64
Reza Real Estate
Gonzalez
by Reza. Here you go.
at Yahoo. It's a Z. It's Z,
Got it.
that one right there. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so that is sent.
Thanks.
This
Thank you.
is the buyer lead sheet. You keep this. You go over this with your clients. You have this to enter into command, to use for reference at later time. All of the great things. So essentially what you would do is you would go over this step by step with them. I'm gonna have to get a little bit closer so I can see what it says because I'm kind of far away. Buyer consultation, pre-qualification questions. Has an agent taken you out to showing you any properties? Is there anybody else buying the home with you? Can somebody tell me why that's an important question?
Which one?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Is there anyone else buying the home with you? Why is that an important question?
It could affect their loan, how much they qualify for.
Yeah, very good answer. Also, who else should be at this meeting? Because why would I want to waste an hour of my time to go over all of these questions that might change when your husband's here? Right? It's important. If two people are buying the home, then both need to be present for this little meeting. How long have you been looking for a home? I'm curious, why are you moving? Very important question. That question is going to be answered different every single time. Every single time. I'm curious why you're moving. Why is that important? Well, because I could be moving because I hate my neighbors. I could be moving because my family is growing and I need to add 2 more bedrooms. I need to move because my kids moved out of the house and I don't need all these rooms now, right? Those are all very important questions because sometimes as agents, we have to reel our clients back into why we're moving and what's important, okay? Do we have any questions about this so far? Oops, sorry. Communicate with your database. At this point, you have uncovered your A, B, and C buyers, potentially, right? When you uncover a buyer who is not able, ready, and willing to buy right now, that indicates that they are future transaction and you need to stay in a relationship with them. Use your touch plans to nurture that relationship. I'm going to say that sentence again because it's very important. Use your touch plans to nurture that relationship. I'm going to tell you a little story. I got I used to work at a mortgage office, and that lender gave me a lead. This was about a year ago. She wants to buy land. Turns out she wasn't in a really good place to buy at that moment. At the very beginning of the relationship, I set her up on an MLS search, okay? I went to a party recently, and I was introduced to this woman who I've never met. And she said, I know you. And I was like, you do? And she pulled out her phone, and on her phone was my MLS search that I send her daily. Of course, I don't send it. It automatically sends for me, but my picture's on it, my name's on it, and it looks like I'm staying in contact with her or sending her properties. This is the same thing. This is what you need to do. All your database and command, if you can get them on some sort of touch plan, it does the hard work for you. Let's say you didn't even do your calls like you're supposed to. At least you're sending them emails. At least they're reminded that you are in real estate, okay? Qualifying sellers. Let's see here. Pre-listing questionnaire. Similar to the buyer lead sheet, the pre-listing questionnaire helps us connect and qualify potential sellers. So hi, my name is Melinda. I'd like to take about 5 minutes of your time and ask some important questions that will help me provide you with the best service. So if you ever get in your own head about not wanting to call people and go over this questionnaire, I've done it. I don't want to bug them, but I feel like when you come from a place of curiosity, like we discussed already, and if you say that exact line, I'd like to take 5 minutes of your time to go over some questions that will help me provide the best service to you. Who's going to be mad about that? Not me. So let's go over a few of these questions. How did you hear about me? Why is that important? Because we want to be able to thank whoever referred us. Chances are you're probably going to know, but that's always a good thing to know. I'd like to call my friend and say thank you so much. Why are you moving? Again, another important question that we discussed for buyers because it's important to know. Maybe they want to cash out on their equity and they want to move into an apartment and live, whatever. But these are all important questions. How soon do you have to be there? So you need to sell. How soon do you have to be there? If we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? Does anybody know why that's an important question? It's an important question. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes homes are off the market or go into contract in 2 days.
You have to have plan B if that doesn't happen.
Well, we need to know what we need to get for our clients. Your clients probably don't even know that they have the option to get into contract for staying in the property after the loan closes. Absolutely. And that's why we're here for them. That's why we can tell them, well, do you need a rent back? What if I could get you into contract 2 weeks after the loan closes? You know what I mean? That's why we're in contract. And then as soon as that loan closes, now you got to really dig deep. But it kind of gives them some breathing room. How much do you want to list your home for? That's a really important question. I mean, I would hate to walk into a listing appointment and say, hey, I think we should sell your house for $5. And they're thinking they're going to get $10. Sometimes that could be insulting to people, right? How much do you owe on the property? A very important question. However, you can probably look up, not probably, you should look up the tax records to see how much they owe and whose name's on the property. I'm always sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it before we meet? Do you have any questions before we meet? So this is like the one that you do prior to the actual in-person one. All right, any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about before we move on to the next portion?
This is all in that link that you sent to us. Sorry, I saved it. I didn't open it.
I think so. Let's take a look at it really fast.
The buyer and seller.
qualifying buyers, buyer lead sheet. Yep, pre-listing questionnaires in there as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, what did I do? I totally messed this up.
Sorry,
What is that? No, it's my fault.
I did it.
Okay. So just as your buyers, your sellers that are classified as A, B, and C, they're really important to keep in touch with as well. We want to put them on a touch plan, lead follow-up plan. Let's see what my notes are on this. Follow-up, convert, stay top of mind, qualify buyers and sellers. So you categorize them as A, B, and C. I strongly suggest everyone doing this. If you don't have anybody in the A's, that's okay. If you don't have anybody in the B column, that's okay. If you don't have anybody on any of your lists, that's okay. But get a list going. That way, when you do have somebody come in that's, you know, kind of talking about buying or selling, you can put them somewhere on this list. And that way you don't forget about anyone, right? If you have someone that says, I'm thinking about selling, but I'm really far off, man, like, can you follow up with me next year? Put them in that C category. Write a date next to it. Use your Google Calendar and set yourself a follow-up to call this person next year. That's what your calendar is for. I could not live without my Google Calendar. I love it. Stay top of mind. Put them on that 36 touch program. Not everything has to be real estate related, but as long as they see that your signature down there, realtor, stay top of mind. Make them remember that you are an agent. This is what you do for your job. All right. So that was super quick because we have a couple places in here where we were supposed to do role plays if we were in person. We did not do that. I did not force you guys to go through that. However, if you ever do want to do some role play, I would be open to doing that with you, either via Zoom or in person. I've offered that at one of the last classes I taught, and I think I did a couple role plays with people, and they're fun. They're awkward at first, of course. I like to role play with my back turned, so if you ever role play with me, you're going to see this. Because I don't like to look at people when I'm role playing like that. But we did not role play in class today. If you would like to role play, call me. I'll definitely help you out there. Any questions, anything that you want to go over, or concerns, or anything you want to talk about? Nothing, nada?
Nada for now.
So this is the quote. I believe it's at the end. Let me start that over. I think this is at the end of every Ignite, but I'm not 100% sure. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. What is this called? This is one of those positive affirmations. Print this out. Put it on your bathroom mirror because it's good to see it. It's good to read it. It's good to hear it. Okay, guys, we're going to take a 10-minute break and come back. Actually, we'll come back at 1:45 since we have so much time, and we will do the second half of our class, okay?
Thank you.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
All right, guys, let's dive into the second half of this session, winning over the buyer. Okay. Come on. All right, so you are in the last part of your Ignite series. We're in the transaction portion, so you've already learned information on how to be a real estate expert, how to lead generate, how to lead follow up. Now you're in the transaction portion. This is the exciting part. We're going to talk about winning over the buyer. Lead generation and follow up is how you got to where you are today. So we're acting as if we have a transaction, focusing on the buyer consultation and agreement. From here, you will cover the listing presentation and go all the way through the close of the transactions with your buyers. This is our agenda. Identifying a qualified A buyer and follow up with an appointment. Apply approaches to request an appointment from an A buyer. Demonstrate skill in handling buyer reluctance to committing to you. Explaining the buyer consultation and agreement. The right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. Pretty clear, right? So when you find a client that is able, ready, and willing, you just ask them to meet. That's all you got to do. All right, so you've seen this graphic a lot. This is the real estate. It's from the real estate, millionaire real estate agent. And this is the funnel. This is the one that you want to live in. This is the 7-step buyer service cycle. This model is proven to recap success with buyers. This success comes in any market with any buyer. So it kind of, sometimes if you look at it, you're like, that's a lot. That's a lot to do. I don't know what's going on here, but let's read them a little bit together. Leads to appointments, prepare for the buyer consultation, find a home, offer and negotiate the contract to close, and post-close systems. Each one of these is super important. So you meet someone at a party and they talk to you about real estate and they're like, oh man, I've really been wanting to sell my home. So you get their information if you don't already, you prepare for the buyer consultation, you have the buyer's consultation with them. What are you looking to buy? What are all the things that you need? What are all the things that you don't want? Blah, blah, blah. Then you start searching for a home, right? Somewhere in here, they've forgotten to have them get pre-qualified with a lender, but that's fine. Finding a home. Once they found a home, then you move into the offer negotiate, and then you move into the contract. So you're in the contract phase, and now we have to close. And then the seventh cycle is important because you don't want to lose contact with them. You want them to use you for future transactions or refer you to family and friends. So it's important not to forget about any one of these steps, to be honest with you. So how do we get the appointment? That's kind of the question everybody wants to know, right? As we've discussed, the keys to converting an A lead are the following, and they're in the participant guide. Respond right away to lead inquiries. Get valid and complete contact information and save it in command and create an opportunity. Determine their motivation to buy so you can speak it to them. I said this in the last session, but that's probably the most important. Some people will tell you they want to move and they will tell you their reasoning for wanting to move, and you say it to them. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, sometimes that changes. When you start looking for a home and then maybe their situation changes and their reason at the beginning isn't their reasoning now. So sometimes you have to kind of ask that throughout the transaction or throughout the process. But let's say someone is needing to move because their lease is up, they're renting. Well, guess what? They have to move no matter what. So they're either going to buy with you or they're going to rent again, right? They have a really high demand to move. They have to, they don't have a choice. So determining their motivation is super important. Setting an appointment, time and date for as soon as possible. Best to do these appointments in the market center or at a public place for safety. I'm assuming that that's meaning that you're meeting with strangers. I haven't met, well, no, I have met with strangers. I take that back. So yes, did you know that you can rent these rooms? I'm in the market center right now. I reserved a meeting room and here I am teaching you at night. That's to any one of our agents here. All you have to do is come in and reserve it. It doesn't cost you a dime. Right? Look professional, be professional. So let's talk about the importance of what you're doing at the appointment. You're showing them the benefits that you offer, giving them what they're looking for, trial close, assumptive close, tie downs. Don't leave any conversation without asking for the appointment multiple times. The worst they can do is say no. Remember your value proposition. You're going to do a great job and they will benefit from having you as their agent. That's important to remember because sometimes it's really hard not to feel like a salesman. At least how I feel. Sometimes it's hard not to be like, hey, 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 but you have value to bring them. When I start talking to people about real estate and I start when they tell me why they're not quite ready yet, and I give them an option, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a possibility. That's value. That's why you're the professional, okay? Let's see, success in this job is just as much about mindset as hustle, okay? That's important. Have your mindset right. If you come from a mindset of bringing contribution and you are the professional, even people who talk to you about real estate all the time, sometimes I've talked to people, I'm like, man, they sure do know a lot. I always say, have you thought about getting your real estate license? And they like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I still know a little bit more than they do because they're not an agent, right? Buyer objections to the appointment. When a buyer objects to meeting with you, what are your first thoughts? Rejection, they're being unreasonable, I'm not doing a good job. Those are all limiting beliefs. Believe it or not, objections are good. They are buying signals for another step closer to a purchase decision. Objections are a response to, I don't know enough yet, or you haven't answered all my questions. And sometimes, almost all the time, people aren't that straightforward. They're not just going to come out and tell you, I don't know enough yet, or you haven't answered all my questions. Sometimes they don't even know that. Instead of walking away at the first sign of an objection, there's a system for exploring and solving the objection the right way. Ask questions, investigate deeper. Tell me more about that, or help me understand, right? Emphasize, acknowledge, and say, I certainly understand how you feel. Identify the real issue. Restate what you heard and ask for confirmation. Offer a solution. Urge an agreement and ask for the appointment. So a lot of times people are just, they don't want to commit, or they've given it some thought, but they don't want to do A, B, and C. If you start asking more questions, you'll find the answer out. I don't know, have any of you had your one-on-one with Amy yet? Have you had your one-on-one? If you haven't, I would strongly suggest you do that. She is amazing at asking questions, you guys. And she will get me on a topic and then she'll say, tell me more about that. And you know what I do? I just tell her more about it. And the good thing about asking questions is you are involving yourself in the conversation, but you are letting them talk about themselves, which is what people love to do.
Amy is great. When I met with her, she was showing me how to do the Metro list. Within like 15 minutes, I think I told her my life. I'm like, wait, what just happened here?
I'm telling you, she's pretty amazing about that. Okay, so let's talk about preparing for the buyer consultation. To get a signed buyer agreement, first you need to get to the appointment. When you make an appointment with your doctor or dentist, do they simply tell you the time and date as you head out of the office and expect you to show up? No.
Yes.
They follow up. Well, sometimes they do. Kaiser follows up with me 45 times. My dentist appointment, I just scheduled it yesterday, and already today I can check in my email, right? I don't ever do that, but they make it available to me. So what this is telling you, what our system is telling you to do, is to confirm the appointment date and time. I will tell you that I do this all the time, because what ends up happening is if I don't do it the day before, I'm doing it the day of. And I'm only telling you this because it has happened to me. People do not keep their calendars very well. They just don't. I cannot expect people to be like I am. My calendar is on point, down to the minute, to be honest with you. I account for drive time, and I do that so that I am not late to things, and I know in my head what time I have to leave. Not everyone's like that. My best friend doesn't even keep a calendar. She drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely nuts, because I couldn't live without my calendar. I need my calendar to tell me where I'm going, who's going to be there, what time, what's the address, like all of those things. So when we expect other people to be like we are, that's setting us up for a bad situation. So I always follow up, and it's a reminder to them. And it's also a reminder for me, because I'm like, hey, I'm just making sure that we are on the same page. Meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock at my office. Address is this. Thank you so much for the reminder. Yes, I will see you there at 1 o'clock. Or, oh my gosh, something came up and my kid is sick. Can we reschedule? Absolutely. I'll follow up with you in a week. Everybody needs a week after they're sick, right? So you're helping them, and also just preparing. Makes you look like you have your stuff together. Top 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. You'll recall this from day 4 when you developed your unique value proposition. Now, just out of curiosity, did anybody create a value proposition? I took Ignite and I wrote some stuff down, but I couldn't even tell you where that is. But that, anyways, there are certain service areas the buyer expects. These are the top 10 areas where buyers need a great agent to help them. Needs analysis. Pre-qualification or pre-approval. A lot of people do not know a lender, and they're going to want to know who you know. Who do you trust? Who do you work with? Neighborhood information. Home search. Making an offer. Negotiating to buy. Vendor coordination. Pre-close preparation, closing and post-closing. I'm going to go into this a little bit. Each section needs analysis. So when you go over the buyer consultation with them, you're going to ask them a million questions, and you're going to write down a million things, a million words that they say. And it's important that you pay attention, and that's why you take notes. Well, at least that's why I take notes, because I forget. Okay. You're assessing their needs, and you're going to be able to tell what is most important to them. Pre-qualification or pre-approval. Again, like I said, not everyone knows a lender. I can tell you about 5 lenders that I work with. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's different for every client. Some people need VA loans. Some people need a mobile home loan. I got a vendor for all of them. Neighborhood information. This one I need to work on a little bit. I will tell you that the #1 question I get asked as a buyer's agent is the crime bad in this neighborhood? Well, there's crime in every neighborhood. That's generally what I lead with. You know what I mean? Because there is, it just really depends. Neighborhood information goes a little bit deeper than that though. What schools are in the neighborhood? What community center? Is there a community pool? Do they have, I can't even think of anything else, but does that make sense? Like, what does the neighborhood bring to them? Is it in an HOA? Blah, blah, blah. Home searching. We're going to dive into this a little bit here, a little bit more, a few slides down the line, but home searching, somebody yell out the name that I'm thinking of, but there is a home searching app that people use primarily. What is it?
Zillow.
Zillow. Yeah, Zillow's great. Zillow gets in front of a lot of people. It's well known. That's where everyone's going to go to find a house. But I can tell you right now, it's not the best way to search for a home. And I tell every single person that. I have people send me homes almost daily from Zillow that are no longer available on Metro List. They're in contract. And for some reason, if Zillow could just pick this up and get on board with it and like have immediate, they would be good. But it takes them a few days. It takes them a few days to get the information from Metro List or wherever they're getting it from, but they don't show that it's off the market for a few days past. So home searching, I can definitely help you get on a better home search than Zillow. I promise you that. Making an offer. They need you to make the offer. You need to explain to them how important this step is and why having an agent is the best route to go. Because they don't know the laws. They don't know all of the regulations. They don't know how to do all of that. Negotiating. We can help them negotiate that offer. And I'm telling you right now, if you're in the coaching program, you have no better teacher than Amy. Amy's a fantastic negotiator. So when you're in that spot and you're ready, I've reached out to Amy and been like, okay, what do I need to negotiate? How do I, you know what I mean? Because when you're in that new agent spot, you might not know. She will help you. Vendor coordination. What does that mean? Vendor coordination. You might be looking at number 7 going, I don't even know what that means. That means that once you're in contract, you're going to suggest to them that they need to get a home inspection. Is there a well? I would suggest getting a well inspection. Let's talk about a termite inspection. They are not going to know where to go. Who have you used in the past? Oh, well, this is who I use. You're welcome to use any home inspector you like. And as a matter of fact, if you go into Google right now and you type in home inspection, you're going to find 100. Okay, but they might need some help. They might need some help coordinating that. Pre-close preparation. What does that even look like? What does that mean? Well, you're going to be their center point for all of these different moving parts. You want to help them through all of that, including that portion. Closing, post-closing. What does post-closing mean? Well, I can tell you right now that I closed on a deal about a month ago and they called me, their agent, to help them make their first mortgage payment. These sweet people just didn't know what they were doing and they received this bill in the mail. And this is their first time buying a home. And I sat down with them and I did all of that. Post-closing really looks more like where's the post office so that I can go have my, get a key to the mailbox and change my address. You'd be surprised what people call you for. Be that answer for them. Help them through the whole process. Buying a home is stressful. Buying a home can be difficult. Help them wherever they need that, okay? All right, looking at this list, what does it do for your buyers? What does it give them? Does it provide value? So this is something that they're saying that you should offer them. Buyer guide contents, welcome letter, timeline of the buying process, home search process, how to access the KW app, introduction, value proposition, all the things, right? So in Command, you have a free buyer guide. Did you know that? You do. If you need help finding it, call me. My phone number is 916-501-7429. I'm going to say it again, 916-501-7429. If I cannot help you find it, I will get you someone who can. But there is a free guide to home ownership that you can, I believe, personalize. Yeah, you can personalize this. So if
You're getting burned right here, Ben.
It makes you look like you know what you're talking about, because you do, right? Now, I will also tell you that there are tons of ways that you can get this a little bit more to your liking. I go on Etsy. I don't know if you've heard of Etsy, but you can literally type in anything into Etsy and get a PNG download. That's how I got mine. I got mine on Etsy. I probably should have used Command because it's free. I would suggest using Command.
Te estás quemando. It's gonna hurt.
And what you don't like until you start doing it. Open it up, give it a go. So this is you telling them that their needs come first, all the good things, build your preference profile, buyer guide, home wish list. It really sets you up for success. Neighborhood insights. These are also free for you in command. So also, if you look at the screen, it tells you where to find them. So you're in the templates spot. And then if you go over here to neighborhood snaps, templates and neighborhoods are in command. So let me go a little bit closer and see what these say. Will your next move be to Barton Hills? Barton Hills, will your next move be to Barton Hills? I really like this one that's all black and it has the little map on the bottom and it kind of shows you like how many homes are for sale and the price point. I really like that one. What could you use that for? Use that for marketing. You could post that on Facebook. You could drop it to a neighborhood. Lots of different things you can do with that. How buying a home works. So this is in the buyer guide, how home buying works. It kind of gives you a timeline, partner with an agent, find your new home. Let's see, a buyer who knows what to expect is a confident buyer. A confident buyer is easier to work with than an anxious buyer who mentions objections throughout the process. Makes sense? Buyer guide affiliated business agreement disclosure. Home loans made simple. This part of the buyer presentation is optional and it's highly recommended that you reach out to a Keller mortgage lender ASAP to start building a relationship. Does everyone know that we have a lender right here in our office?
Yes.
Perfect. Do you know where that office is?
No.
Yes.
Have you asked to meet with them? Go meet with them. Have a conversation. Okay? That's what that part is for. Buyer guide your value proposition. This is where your value proposition comes into play. So if you use that, you can, if you use the buyer consultation that's in command, you can add your value proposition into this. This section of your buyer presentation is all about your value proposition and how you will benefit your client. As a new agent, you may choose to provide data for your team, Market Center or Keller Williams Realty International, to present your best value story. As your business grows, you'll track your own successes and update these numbers. So what they're saying is that you might not want to use, you might be thinking, I don't want to use this page because I haven't been in business for 15 years and I haven't sold that many houses, but you can use your Market Center's numbers. That's totally okay. You can reword that and use your Market Center numbers. Okay. And when you're thinking about your team, that comes a lot into like so many factors can be used with that. Your team can be your transaction coordinator. Your team can include your broker. Your team can include the photographer for the listing that's going to take pictures of the home. These are all people that are helping the transaction move forward. Why would they not be on your team? So if you think that you don't have a team, you absolutely do. Okay, get creative. Anything you guys want to talk about before I move to the next segment? Moving forward, conducting the buyer consultation. Prior to meeting with your buyer, you should have a high quality color copy of the buyer presentation ready for them. If you are meeting virtually on a meeting platform, it's a good idea to have one delivered to their home or office the day before. If not, be sure they have a PDF version to review during the consultation. It is most certainly best to meet in person at your office or another quiet and public location. I am knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. They will appreciate my expertise and preparation and choose me to represent them as they buy a home. Another positive affirmation that you can definitely speak every day prior to going to an appointment. So here is another role play opportunity that I'm not going to force you to do. If we were meeting in person, we would have some role play opportunities with each other in the classroom. So we're just gonna kind of go over this. Let's see, buyer needs analysis. A big part of your buyer consultation is filling out the needs analysis. This is where you listen much more than you talk. I'm gonna say that again. This is where you listen much more than you talk. Listen and write, listen and write. These questions are set out in the buyer presentation in command and in your participant guide. We are going to be mentioning the needs analysis a lot as we cover the rest of this transaction. Okay. Love letter. Has anyone heard of a love letter? If you haven't heard of it, remember it, because people will ask you. I've been asked several times. We will continue to talk a lot about setting your transaction and buyer up for success throughout this process. One thing to address with them early is in the concept of a buyer love letter. Your buyer may have heard of someone writing a letter to the seller and getting a house in a multiple offer situation. We often refer to these as a buyer love letter. Though they seem innocent enough, they can easily lead to a fair housing violation. Let me explain. You're in a multiple, let's say you go to look at a house with a client. They love it, they want to write an offer. The first thing I do when I am getting ready to write an offer, first of all, I've already spoken or texted the agent several times. I have a client interested in your property, we're gonna go see it tomorrow at 5 o'clock, right? That's if the property's vacant. They respond, yes, thank you so much. Normally, that agent follows up with me. How'd they like the house? Oh, they loved it. We're actually considering writing an offer. How many offers do you have in hand? None? Great. Or let's say they have 5. So you're asking yourself, what is the love letter? Well, some clients will be, I tell my clients they have 5 offers, you know, and I asked the agent where the offers are sitting and they said that they have some high and some low. So your seller or your buyer comes to you and says, I want to write a love letter. Here's the thing about love letters. They really can work and they really can harm the client. It really just depends. If the buyer says they can see their children running down the stairs on Christmas morning, the buyer has revealed familial status and religion, both of which are protected characteristics under fair housing. Why would that matter? Well, let's say someone hates Christmas. Now they didn't choose their offer because they hate Christmas that much. That sounds silly. That sounds silly to us, but it might be someone else's reality. So it's important to educate your clients on this. So I have had someone ask me to help them write a love letter. Number one, you cannot help them do anything. You cannot deliver the letter. You can't do anything like that. If they want to write it and they want to get the seller's information, that's completely up to them. If they want to do it on their own, you may not facilitate that. There are a lot of great legal tactics to win in a multiple offer situation. Risking your license to help them write a love letter is not worth it. You're not able to do that. Any questions?
Yeah, they also say if you're sending them, they send a picture of their family, and if the other family is let's say has something against the specific color or religion, by looking at the picture, they might not choose you as a potential buyer, or they might just might get rejected.
Ding, ding, ding. Absolutely. Great point. I think Bruce just talked about that in the class yesterday.
That's correct. Yeah.
Getting the signed buyer agreement. Okay, so buyer agreements. I don't use them. I don't. I know some people do, and that's great. However, Bruce just talked about this in the contracts classes about how, when you have a listing contract and let's say they decide to take it off the market and then they close off market with someone. Can you take them to court? Can you get your money? Yes. Do you want to do that? That's really up to you. But with social media the way it is, your face is going to be plastered everywhere with, don't use this agent because he sued me for, $9 grand or whatever. Right?
Unless,
So, right.
unless it's your last transaction. your
Correct.
time.
Right, yeah. And let's say it's, $200,000. Hey, I might do it. I think it's just important to remember those aspects. And for me personally, everyone that I've worked with, I have known it's all from my sphere. Well, there's been a couple that are not from my sphere, but I trust myself enough to know how I show up in situations. And I mean, what is a buyer agreement going to get me? If they want to stop working with me, then I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So that's just me personally. When you're wrapping up the buyer consultation, you definitely want to offer them the KW app. Does everyone know where to get the KW app?
For them, KW.
If you don't, text me, I can send it to you. When you're wrapping up the buyer consultation, you want to set expectations. Explain what happens next. In their paperwork that you're leaving them, the buyer consultation packet, it gives them a breakdown of everything. Will they read it? Probably not. Will they remember where they put it in their house? Probably not. So I always like to tell people what to expect next. Okay, now that we've met, your next step is going to get pre-qualified for a loan. We need to know how much spending power you have and are you okay with that payment? They might pre-qualify for 600,000, but maybe they don't want to make that payment. They would rather live more around 550. Got it? So what happens next? Whatever the next step is for them, tell them that. To help them set up searches. So you're going to ask them in that buyer's consultation, what area do you want to be in? Is there a certain school district? Do you want to be close to work? Do you want to be far away from work? Whatever the case may be. Send them information about the neighborhoods they've requested, send lender recommendations and contact info. Does anybody have any questions? Anything you'd like to add to that? And again, if you want any of this sent to you, I can definitely do that.
Right.
So we have concluded this series. We're all done. That was a fast class.
Awesome.
So I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. Say this every day to yourself. Read it aloud. It's very important because I often get caught up in the salesy, don't be too salesy. Don't do this, don't do that. But this is what I truly strive to be. I strive to engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and I want people to be happy to be in a relationship with me. So thank you so much for being here in class with me. I will be back tomorrow and next week.
Next week?
And next week. Yep, I'll be teaching class next week as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey,
See you guys later.
See you tomorrow.
thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.